Welcome back to our live. Happy Thursday, everybody. Jessica and Casey here with you today. We are talking about things that you may be eating that are making your autoimmune disease worse. And I would even go as far to say if you don't have an autoimmune disease, it is making your condition worse in whatever you have. So we are going to get into that today and symptoms and what these things are, what they do, where they live, things like that. But beforehand, let's introduce ourselves to anybody that's new in our community. I am Casey Kephart. I'm a functional medicine nutritionist. I am the founder of the Feel Good Formula. I work with women with all different types of autoimmune diseases to help you get back to the activities you love to do, trash your symptoms, and get the energy back that you want to. And I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where the sun always shines. Jessica?
My name is Jessica Melnick. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti-Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Group, and I help people with various forms of arthritis get back to living their life the way that they choose to, not the way that they have to. And I live in Saskatchewan, Canada, where lately the wind always blows very heavily. So
you can't get your break there at all.
no. But it's sunny out.
That's the important part.
Yes.
Okay, so we're not going over all of the things that we could have put in this list. We're going to go over the top 3 things that you may be eating that are causing your autoimmune disease to flare up, to be worse, to cause an autoimmune disease, etc. So the first one being nightshades, and Jessica's group or my group, listen up here because we're talking about joint pain, arthritis symptoms, things like that. So if you haven't heard of a nightshade, it is a family of plants that contain a poisonous compound. It's called solanine. And they cause inflammation in us, in some people, mainly people with autoimmune disease, mainly people with autoimmune disease forms of arthritis. And nightshades are tomatoes, potatoes, mainly the white ones, eggplant, peppers, hot or bell peppers, and spices like the pepper spices, paprika and chili peppers and things like that. And then you have goji berries and ashwagandha, which is a very calming herb that a lot of us take that are in a lot of teas. But that is a nightshade as well. So if any of these things that you're eating and you feel kind of weak or pain or achy or stiff from, it might be because of the tomatoes or the potatoes that, for a lot of us, they're really good for us and really nutritious. There we go. But for some autoimmune people, it's something that we should be eliminating because it does cause a lot of inflammation and flare-ups in us.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes you can successfully reintroduce some of these things. But like the clients that are in our program, but there's a process of elimination that we begin with before we can actually reintroduce and see how you respond. So I would say the healthier you are on the inside, the more tolerant that your body tends to be with the foods that you eat, but it takes time. Another big one of the top 3 foods that you may be eating that are giving you issues in terms of your arthritis or other autoimmune condition is grains. So oatmeal, quinoa, corn. Corn is not a vegetable. It is a grain. Whole grain cereals, whole grain breads, things like flours like whole wheat flour, rye, barley, crackers. So those are obviously products of whole grains. But even eating whole grains like, barley in your soup or a bowl of oatmeal in the morning or, quinoa on your salad can cause you a lot of issues if you have an autoimmune condition. We also have to look at the quality of those grains that we're eating too, because often, if they're not organic or they are genetically modified, they're heavily, heavily sprayed with pesticides. So we want to avoid that too. But one of the main factors in grains that causes problems for people with arthritis and other autoimmune conditions are called lectins. And it is a property of the plant that is in there to protect the plant from predators. So things like different bugs and other pests. So it actually can kill insects that eat the plant. But with people, it can cause us a lot of digestive distress, which leads to things like achy joints, muscle stiffness, fatigue, headaches, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, grains, whole grains can be a really healthy food for some people. But if you are struggling with an autoimmune condition, you need to reconsider.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard this story before, but I was an oatmeal addict when I first got diagnosed with celiac disease. And my celiac disease symptoms were not getting much better, that's for sure, even though I cut out the gluten. But it was probably the oatmeal every single day, 3 times a day, that was making me bloated, fatigued, brain fog, gassy. I mean, all of the things, and not fixing my gut at the time. But the oatmeal, which are grains, contributed to a lot of my symptoms and a lot of my pain, even though we're told that oatmeal and grains could be one of the healthiest items that we can eat. And again, it is for some people. Some people it is. Unfortunately, not for me or Jessica.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
The other component we're going to go over today is dairy. So if you have an autoimmune disease, dairy should probably be left out of the diet. It really triggers your thyroid in general, but causes a lot of distress in us and can cause a leaky gut as well. So we're all familiar with dairy items, I am sure, and what contains dairy, although there are very sneaky foods that do have dairy and milk in it as well. But yogurt, milk, cheese, milk powder, whey, casein, things like that. And a cool fact, I mean, it's not really cool because it sucks, but most of our population is lactose intolerant. And I know I was as a kid, and we often grow out of it. But when we say grow out of it, you just don't have the symptoms anymore. That doesn't mean it's not causing inflammation in your body. For some people it is, for some people it's not, but I would tell everybody, if you are going to eat dairy or drink dairy, get a very, very high quality of it, where it does contain probiotics in it, so it can help you digest that, and make sure you're getting it from a good cow, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go into, because we're going to talk about like how these foods are affecting us in a little bit more detail. But I just want to add to the dairy thing too. I was also lactose intolerant as an infant, as a child. It's really common in infants who are colicky. It's often lactose intolerant. And I was able, thankfully, with the help of some alternative health practitioners who told me about probiotics when I was, well, I guess my parents at the time, because I was only about 12 years old. I literally couldn't have any type of milk product without getting violently ill. And so this wonderful iridologist, who my mom took me to, was able to figure out a probiotic that was super helpful for me. So if I did have some dairy products, I didn't get violently ill after eating them over time. But still, it's one of those things that dairy is very inflammatory. It is really mucus forming.
Yeah.
So some of the things that you might notice if you have dairy products and are things like dark under eye circles, itchy, watery eyes, kind of like allergy type symptoms too, like itchy nose, obviously gas and bloating, having like more phlegm, like having to clear your throat, having, kind of like that post-nasal drip and some kind of like congested sinuses or, a drippy nose. Things like migraines and headaches, and acne is a big one. Oh my goodness. If I have
Mhm.
an ice cream cone, it's basically like I break out the next day. And I'm in my 40s. So it's just one of those things that does not, even to this day, does not agree with me. I don't get violently ill, but it causes a lot of other things. Definitely the mucus forming part is really, really common.
Yeah.
Um, it also makes Hashimoto's worse. So if you have a low
Mhm.
function thyroid, it interferes with that. And of
Mhm.
course, digestive distress, loose bowel movements, sometimes constipation. But I think the other thing that's really important to note is that when you're eating these foods, you're not necessarily only going to experience digestive distress if they're affecting you, but that doesn't mean that it's not creating other symptoms in your body or creating inflammation in your body overall.
Yeah, definitely. So with the nightshades, remember those were the tomatoes, the potatoes, the eggplant, the peppers, the chili spices, things like that. Those cause mainly joint pain, inflammation, achiness, stiffness, and usually in the joints. So, your knuckles, your hands, that's where at least I feel it. And I do not even have a form of arthritis. But you can feel it anywhere on your body. I know my grandma, when she eats X amount of tomatoes, she can start feeling her RA symptoms come back. So she knows that she can only have like one tomato a week. And that's where her tolerance is. So even if you flare up from a nightshade, that doesn't mean that you're going to flare up from one serving. You may flare up from 20 servings or 2 servings or 3 servings. So you're going to find what that healthy balance is for you if it's a balance at all. Some people just can't tolerate it at all, and some people can.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had some clients who have been able to reintroduce tomatoes here and there, but not bell peppers,
Yeah.
and some are kind of the opposite. And some are like, oh, I can have potatoes once in a while, just not that often. I know for myself, I avoid bell peppers and potatoes for the most part. I can get away with having some, maybe like once a week kind of thing
Yeah.
and be okay. But I used to eat it every single day. I used to eat bell peppers and tomatoes before I found out how they were affecting me. So, as
Mhm.
you said, there's different levels of tolerance, and the healthier you get, and the more gut healing you do, the more tolerant your body will be.
Mhm. Yep. And then grains. So some symptoms that you can get from grains are energy and mood, especially from the starches that grains hold. So my mood varies so drastically with food in general. And I know that when I eat some grains, I get a little irritable. I get a little down. You can tell there's a dip in me for sure. And then there's blood sugar fluctuations because they are so starchy, and that's where the mood roller coaster comes in as well. You get gas and bloating symptoms, brain fog, things like that. So mainly GI distress with grains as well, and then it has a neurological aspect to it too. So gut to brain, direct correlation there. So, some other symptoms that you can get from any of these or any foods in general that your body is not liking um, are, I guess, the same thing that we've been saying. So, nasal congestion, itching of the skin is also a big one as well. You get a little like crawly in your skin. And then the acne, puffy eyes, itchy eyes, GI distress, things like that. So, if anything is just abnormal when you eat it, it's your body telling you that it doesn't like it. And maybe we should reduce the amount that we eat it or just eliminate it altogether for about 90 days and then reintroduce it back in and see how things go then. But we need to calm the fire is what your body is saying there.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said before, even if you're not experiencing some of these symptoms, on the regular, it doesn't mean that you don't have chronic low grade inflammation happening in your body from foods that you are sensitive to. Sometimes food sensitivities and intolerances are a little more subtle, and it's hard to pinpoint them. And you can really only do that when you take the time to do an elimination, where you take things out for a minimum of 30 days and then reintroduce, because it takes your body that long, at least 30 days, before your antibodies to those foods that you're eating calm down, and you're able to actually pinpoint which of those foods are bothering you. And you can't, you have to do this systematically and one by one, or else you're not going to be able to figure out which of the foods are actually causing the distress.
Yeah, exactly. And I know a lot of us, this may be very subtle. Your symptoms may be very subtle, and you're like, oh, well, I can deal with it. Well, then let's talk about what it's doing to you, even though you can deal with it, right? So having these symptoms is your body telling you again that it doesn't like it, meaning it's going to produce inflammation in your body. Inflammation is stress on the body. Your immune system gets heightened, and the immune system fights off these foreign invaders, which is why you get these symptoms, right? So your immune system is now ramped up, and it's causing a lot of stress on your body. And when this happens, you're more susceptible to a leaky gut. And every time this happens, it's poking holes in that gut lining, which is causing some undigested undigested food particles in your gut lining going into the bloodstream, bacteria to seep through, toxins to seep through. And now we have a bigger problem than before. And so even though your symptoms are at bay now, or very subtle to where you can manage them, it's not going to be in maybe 6 months, 12 months, 5 years. An autoimmune disease or these symptoms don't just happen overnight. It's things that happen accumulatively over a period of time. So just because you feel okay right now, which I love that, and that's great for you, that doesn't mean that you're going to be okay in 6 months from now if you still go on this path. So it's just like eating, let's say for me, dairy. So I'm fine eating dairy maybe one night. If I eat dairy every single day, next week, I'm going to have a horrible week. But that didn't just come from the night before. That came from so many attacks on my system. So it's the same thing with developing an autoimmune disease and your symptoms and flare-ups. So think about that maybe next time you get a stomach ache. That's okay. But try to think about what is causing that stomach ache so we can not have that anymore. And you can let your body just rest and digest and heal.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, again, is why Casey and I have the programs that we do, because for this process, even though to us it's very simple, there's a very straightforward way about doing it. But we also know that most people can't follow through with this process on their own. And so that's why we have a structured system and what we teach our clients, and a step-by-step plan, so that we can walk our clients through the process of doing this, so that they can find out, which foods are causing them problems, and so that they can address the actual root of the problem. They can address their leaky gut. They can calm the immune system down. And then that's how you start feeling better. So I know for some people it sounds kind of out there that nutrition can have such an impact on your autoimmune condition, but it actually is really phenomenal how much it does affect us, and how quickly we can actually start to feel better when we are, eating the correct way for an autoimmune condition. It's very, very powerful. And if we think about it, I always bring this back to this point, and I talk about it in my masterclass as well. We have 75 to 80% of our immune system in our gut. And it's there for a reason, because the food that we ingest goes into our gut system, and our immune system is there because that's like our body's first line of defense. So we need our immune system present for the things that we're ingesting into our body, so it can take care of one of the most important things that we bring into our body. And so there's no mistake that our immune system, a huge part of it is in our gut.
Yep. Exactly. And we're there to troubleshoot with you and help you understand your body and what is going on and why you're bloated, why you have a headache today. And because there's so many variables happening with that, not just food, but lifestyle as well. So, um, if you are looking for more support on all of this, more information on all of this, and you're ready to make that dive and that change, please come talk to us. We both can help you with that and support you as well. So I know, Jessica, you have your masterclass tonight, right? And so if you want more information with that, go to Jessica, and then I do have my masterclass as well. So let us know and like this video if it was helpful for you, and comment on things that you have questions about, and share this video if somebody else can find it helpful.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes, we appreciate it. And we're here, and we'd love to have your feedback.
Definitely. We will be back just next Thursday, I think. I think I'm off Tuesday. So, yes, we will be back next Thursday with more
Special
information.
guest.
Yeah, it is a special guest next Thursday, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
looking forward to that. We've got a lot of special guests coming up this month. So
Yeah,
we'll keep you on the edge of your seats and keep you posted.
that'll be fun. All right, everybody, have a good weekend.
Yeah, take care, guys.